Oh, all right. So we're live. Let me get
everybody.
into our intro. And we're back for another live episode. Hello. Oh man, how you feeling? I know you just got back from doing plasma.
My third job.
Your third job. Teacher life. So yes, today's topic is the entertainment parts of our life, going to sporting events, concerts, movie theaters, conventions.
And of course, just as we start, the postman just showed up. I'll be back in 1 minute.
Okay, Tom. There was a thing that happened in 2020 that kind of shut everything down. And, we went into 2021, things sort of opened back up, and now we're in 2022. So that's the topic. Are people ready and excited to go back to all this stuff? So let's introduce our panel. We have Dustin, who's been on the show multiple times, great comic creator. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm Dustin Burnell. I own Ethereal Comics. I write as well as design pages, panels, stories, you name it. Currently writing not only 7 titles for Ethereal. I'm also writing 2 screenplays, and man, that's me. We put out books every month, so we're trying to get up there with the big dogs.
No pun intended, right?
But pun intended.
Yeah.
But pun intended at the same time. Absolutely. Tom and I have a show next week with you guys. So.
That's right. We'll see you next weekend here in the Sunshine State.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited? It's our first Comic-Con in a while.
I don't remember what it's like.
You don't remember what it's like?
It's a good show.
It is.
I do like that show.
Yeah, that is a good show. Also joining us is another past guest, James Stafford. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. You had to, of course, get me as I'm muted, and I was trying to take a drink, but I'm doing well. Just to introduce myself, I'm a co-host on the Talking Codswallop podcast, and I have some experience of going to conventions and interviewing people at conventions, so hopefully I'll be able to discuss that with you and bring something interesting.
Yes. A new face to the show, DJ Nick, who is a longtime friend of our show and the HWS network. How you doing, brother?
Hey guys, I'm doing very, very well. Well, first off, I definitely want to say, happy Easter, Chag Sameach, and Ramadan Mubarak to all our listeners out there, depending what your should we say, religion of choice might be. That said, very, very happy to be here today, and looking forward to it. I am the host of the radio show Whiskey and Cigarettes, which is a country music radio show, and also the podcast host for Happiness and Darkness, the superhero movie podcast, Gold Standard, the Oscars podcast, and the Fandom Zone, where we discuss superhero TV shows, and Titan Talk, we discuss Titans and Doom Patrol.
Right
Awesome.
on.
Cool.
Can we just say how cool though is your show, Whiskey and Cigarettes?
Oh, cheers! Thank you. I try. Believe me, it blows people's minds that an Italian actually hosts a country music radio show, but there we are.
So, let's start with I guess the movie theater industry. We had a big film in December, Spider-Man: No Way Home. 260 million opening weekend. The biggest film, I guess you would say, post-COVID or within the COVID era. Does that kind of shed light that people are wanting to go back to the theater, or was it just because of that film in particular? And this is open to anybody.
I think a lot of it depends on what it is, because you definitely saw that for that sort of thing, there was obviously a huge response to it. The same thing with the Batman. But I think a lot of the time it depends on what it is that it's actually going to bring people in or not, because you still were seeing pictures from certain showings of things where there's just nobody about, where it was empty cinemas. So I think a lot of it is, if it's a big, and you could say this in general with films, when it's a big sort of, spectacle piece, people will go and see it. But yeah, I think that has been more of the push. I think there's probably some still elements of hesitancy for people for going to cinemas and things like that. But obviously, that's my view. What does everybody else sort of think on it?
Well, I mean, coming from Italy, I think it's similar to what you say, James, in the sense that it's a bit of both. In the sense that on one side, I definitely do think, obviously, you have those box office draws, which of course will get people to the theaters, but people are not as reluctant on going back to the theaters over here. Actually, they went out in droves as soon as all the various limitations were lifted. So I guess it obviously varies from place to place. But yeah, when I got over here, when they lifted all the COVID bans and stuff, which hasn't been too long ago. I mean, it was just actually recently that they allowed popcorn back in cinemas again, because up until a couple of months, you weren't even allowed to consume food or beverages in the theater. You could only eat your popcorn or drink your drinks, whatever, outside of the actual projection room, if you will. And no, I mean, over here, it's regardless of the film, theaters are packed over here, at least over here in Italy, anyways.
Yeah, I think anything that's truly hype driven is going to bring the people out. Batman proved it. And Batman, everyone went to see Batman because they were like, okay, what the hell is this thing going to be? Robert Pattinson, really? Is this happening? And then with Spider-Man was kind of almost the same thing. Like, if this was just your normal Spider-Man movie, it probably would have still done well, but not what it is. But everybody had the speculation of, the extra Spider-Man showing up. So there was no way people were not going to flock to that movie. And then once it was all confirmed, they had to go back and see it again another couple of times. So anything that is going to have that super hype, Jurassic Park is going to do fine. For example, I would imagine Top Gun is probably going to do fine.
Sonic this past weekend did pretty good.
Sonic is going to do fine. Good for the kids. And then you're going to have things like Morbius that nobody really cared about anyway. And then when we actually went and saw it, there really wasn't anything to care about. And it just kind of drifted away. So, but things like that were in the middle, sort of like James Bond, right? James Bond did relatively well last year, but it wasn't Spider-Man or Batman.
For sure.
But also the art house stuff is doing really well over here too. The stuff that is not necessarily mainstream, granted, because maybe, like I said, Italy, there is that more of a interest in art house compared to just mainstream stuff. So even stuff that is more that, not everybody's going to go see. I mean, or even the stuff that was nominated at the Oscars, this recent Academy Awards, a lot of people went to see, like Power of the Dog. Tons of people went to see it. Licorice Pizza, tons of people went to see it. Nightmare Alley, same thing. And so as I said, I guess it also depends on, how many people, should we say, are not just mainstream movie watchers, but are also actually interested in the art of cinema, as in art house and stuff that is not, catering to pretty much everybody, if you will.
Well, there's a lot that there are these like pockets, right? When you start talking about what's going on, you've got pockets of films that come out and they draw attention. Your Marvel films, even your indie films that may, like art house films that may touch on certain topics that people are looking to fill that gap with, But, like we were talking earlier about the anime films from Crunchyroll and stuff, they're dropping all over the theater that are outselling regular films, you know what I mean? Because they're doing really well. But what I find interesting is when you start talking about the numbers in theater and if people are going back, I feel like theater is going the way of the drive-in, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? When we were kids and the drive-ins you'd have two in a city. You could drive to the drive-in and it'd be a good time. Now they're few and far between finding a drive-in, and it boils down to the fact that now we have these streaming services where people can pay less, stay at home, and watch the films. You know what I mean? You're not always going to have audiophiles that are interested in watching movies anymore. Same thing with superhero flicks. I'm a big Batman fan, but he didn't draw me to the movies with this new movie. You know what I mean? It wasn't something I had to see, but I can wait and pick it up on HBO for no more than I'm paying on HBO anyway. You know, so that's one of these things that here it's very relevant here. You know, that people like we just saw Jujutsu Kaisen. I took my daughter to see the anime she wanted to see like last weekend, and we go in there and there's nobody in the AMC, brand new AMC. It's 7:00 at night on a Friday, and there's nobody in it. You know, and it's just like I could have counted the heads when we walked out and left. You know, it's wild to see, and that's why I think eventually with movies doing as well as they have, like Godzilla versus Kong coming almost directly to HBO. You know, same thing with Mortal Kombat, and doing the amount of views that they did in the same amount of time and same amount of money, and people don't even have to go to the box office for it. So it's interesting. We'll see. I'd like to see.
The advent of home theater has been around for a long time. So while you're not getting the 1,000-foot screen, you are still getting really good audio, and obviously TVs are really good too. You get a big 90-inch screen TV, and it's crazy in your house. So home audio has been chipping away at theaters for decades, and now you couple that with the ability, like you just said, to just turn on your HBO, and now you've got Batman at home. That is absolutely going to start to cripple not even for the COVID reasons, but just in the general ease of use, and cost wise, it's going to start crippling theaters in more and more ways.
No, I think it will. Yeah. I think it will.
Go ahead, James.
Well, no, sorry, Nate. I was just going to say, I recently, it's only yesterday, we're having a conversation with somebody about this, saying that if you go back, I'm going to age myself, but if you go back to when I was young, VHS, so when something was going to come out on VHS, from the time difference from when you watched it in the cinema to getting it as a home release was vast.
Yeah.
It was huge. And now the release time is just unbelievably quick. And it is going to stop people going to cinemas unless it's something really big, because you'll weigh it up. So you might look at it from a health standpoint. If you've been unwell, the COVID fear, you may just go, can I really be bothered shelling all this money out to have to go to a cinema? Because the cost of a ticket, the big one is the cost of fuel, because that's skyrocketing. When all I can do is sort of log on to my normal, provider, watch it at home, pressure's off. And I think that is going to be an issue. Like if you look at Amazon, because what if they now got all the Bond back catalogs with them? Why are people going to, they're doing a rerun now of the Bond films in some of the cinemas, but for a lot of people, the cinema experience to watch one of your old, say, favorite Bond films is great. But a lot of the time, I think it's to be, I can just watch it on Amazon. And at the point, it's already been made. If you've got a good enough setup, you kind of set with it.
Right. But also, I would also like to point out the fact that, the exclusive, obviously the fact that it is exclusively in cinemas before it hits these on-demand online places, that I think will still be a draw because also of social media pressure, in the sense that lots of people don't want their movies spoiled for them. So a lot of people want to go and see them on opening weekend because they don't want people telling them how good the movie is, how bad it was, etc. And so it's almost like the talk in front of like the drinking fountain, if you will. It's like you want to be where you want to have seen it Monday at the office to discuss it with folks, because you're going to have it spoiled for you. Not to mention, as I said, there are horrible people out there who spoil your movies on social media and don't even give you a fair warning. So I think that might also be a draw for folks. It's like, oh, no, I don't want so-and-so to ruin it for me. I'm going to go opening weekend. And so you might get people drawn into theaters simply because of that reason, to stay also current. I mean, not just folks in our line of work, podcasters or what have you, etc., who kind of have to do it because you have to keep with what's relevant. So you are going to go see it opening weekend if it doesn't drop on your Disney Pluses, your Amazons, etc. But also because your average Joe is not going to want that movie spoiled for them, and they might not want to wait a month, 2 months, 3 months. So I think that might play into it too.
Sure, but I think again you're talking about the key movies, right? You're talking about spoilers. That's Spider-Man. That's DC. That's Marvel.
Yes.
That's not necessarily what's the one with the dog? I can't think what it's called.
Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog. Like you can't. You're not really going to spoil Power of the Dog. No one's dropping spoilers for that on social media.
But for the key movies, it's still
for the key movies. Yes, exactly.
Exclusives for sure.
Yeah. But that's not going to assist the non-key movies, the things
Well,
that
how
just
long
sort
are
of
we gonna have
the
them?
rom-coms and the things that just sort of roll out
Totally.
randomly.
I mean,
no one's
for us-
gonna go rushing for those.
For us, when we think about just the sheer cost of it, like we have one Cinemark subscription, and we gain a ticket every month,
and
it rolls over. And when we have enough tickets, we decide which one we're going to go see.
Right.
And honestly, that's just the way it is. Like we can't.
For sure. It's $60 to go get popcorn, a drink, and 2 people.
I mean, essentially, yeah. Like it would cost twice as much for us to go as a family of 4.
And we've been back twice, though, and the theater's been clean. So, like, we're not afraid to go back to the theater.
Right.
Okay, well, as an essential worker, generally, as soon as they open schools, I was back in school. So it's not even a thing. Like, I didn't want to do the whole online stuff. Like, more power to people who love sitting in front of a screen, but that's not a genuine interaction for me. And so if I'm going to teach, I want it to be as genuine as possibly can. Now, has that made this year easy? No. But not from the standpoint of other people too. It's like, you can say whatever you want about COVID and the reaction we've all had to going back to everything, but also a lot of us have already been back, essentially, like maybe not back to the movie theaters, but I was back to work last school year. And yeah, we were wearing masks and everything. And now this year it's all optional, and it is what it is. But like 3 years in, it's going to become endemic. We're going to have to just deal with it like we do a flu season. Like we just have to be more careful and vigilant about just good, healthy hygiene habits. And really, like, I hate to say it, but COVID made the theaters way cleaner than they ever were before. So that wasn't ever a thing, but it's just the sheer cost. Like for me, I'm like, I love Batman, but I mean, actually really Batman wasn't a draw for me this year anyways. Like I didn't really care.
You would wait to
like
watch
I'll wait to see it when it comes on streaming. It's not a thing.
I know plenty of people, friends that most have families and they're in the same position. They're just like, yo, it'll be streaming eventually. We'll see it then. I see that more and more as the response. But then there's just people in general that are like, yeah, I'm happy at home.
I mean, Spider-Man, I was all about it. We needed to go see that one in the theater. Like
from a personal standpoint, though, I still prefer the cinema experience I love, but I am now finding it more enjoyable to actually just be at home to watch a film.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. There's movies where, like Batman, for example, I'm glad I went to the theater because it's 3 freaking hours long. And even when I was sitting in the theater, I found myself like reaching for my phone every now and then. And I was like, oh, I got to put my phone away. If I was sitting at home trying to watch Batman for 3 hours, there's no way I would have sat through it. So there is that sort of aspect as well. We get a lot of people now who I think watch streaming stuff at home, but they're not really watching. It's sort of what I call like the Mystery Science Theater 3000 experience, where they're at home, but they're talking and they're jabbering and they're on a phone and they're not really necessarily watching the movie, at least the first time through. And so then you get, and that's where you get a lot of these weird reviews that come out and you're like, yo, did you even watch this movie? I don't think you watched this movie because that review makes no sense. You're talking about things that, it doesn't make sense. So, that to me is kind of problematic. And that's why I do like to go to the theater. I like all the darkness and just put that monstrous thing in my field of vision. And I just want to experience it.
Well, you said the magic word, experience. When you go to a theater, you
that's
get
exactly
that experience,
it.
like the crowd cheering, or if it's a horror movie, the crowd going,
No, I don't want any crowd. I go by myself. I still go by myself, but I understand what you're saying.
But the other thing for me is this, and this sounds weird because you are right. It's nice to go to the cinema and get that immersive experience of all the people around you. But I also don't miss having to have the person who's like several seats away from me, crunching food or talking when I'm trying to concentrate on the film. So if I'm in my own space,
or you're yelling at Tom to put his phone away.
I guess
that guy with cat ears have his phone on. Damn it!
I guess then either Italians are very odd then, because nobody does that in cinemas. Everybody is very quiet. They watch the movie, they put their phones away, and they just enjoy the experience for what it is. I mean, I don't know. Or we're just very weird people over here, but that's what we do.
I don't doubt that is a largely American experience at all. I don't doubt that for a second. We are morons. We're morons because we have no concept of what it is that we're doing. Like, let's take the theater, for example. You're sitting there in the dark. I mean, it's lit because of the screen, but it's dark, right? We have no idea that if we turn our phone on and even just let the screen light up, that it's going to literally beam light, off in my peripheral or whatever. We have no idea that if we're in the middle of a soft scene and we're sitting there ripping open candy, like we have no concept of what's happening around us in a theater, like at all. We're all sitting at home in the theater. And so and it's gotten worse and worse and worse over the years.
It's bad.
No, I'd agree. It has gotten worse. I mean, in the UK, I've seen that it's gotten worse. And the one that kills me is not so much cinemas. It's when you go into concerts to see a live act where you paid a lot of money. And there'll always be somebody who's talking, or there's somebody who's on the. I mean, I don't get this. If you've spent hundreds of pounds, in the case of some of the stuff I've been to, where I've spent thousands of pounds to see some of these acts, and there's somebody on the phone in front of me texting away, and I'm like, I won't swear, but trust me, I've been really, the pent up frustration, and that is something I do not miss about going out to go to things.
I mean, here I would never give up going to the theater, to be honest, because it is an experience, and because I mean, granted, I bleed cinema because it means so much to me. It's my all-time favorite art form, and so there's no better way to experience it than within a movie theater, regardless of what you're watching. And I mean, I'm very glad that the audiences I've shared my experience with have always been very, very well mannered. And as I said, no phones on and no sort of ripping up and stuff and everything else. I guess over here we pent our boorishness and stuff when we are at a football game or when it's a sports event for the most part. So like when you're at a sports bar, you'll get the rough and rowdy people yelling and screaming and doing all that stuff. But when it comes to theater, I guess maybe because of our tradition of opera, where everybody's very, very sort of just listening to what you're doing and everything else, they experience it, or we experience it that kind of way. It's like you're just sitting down and you're letting the art unfurl before you. And then, once the lights come up, everybody's chatting. But once the lights go down, everybody's just like zipped.
I would agree that I think a lot of us in America have trouble code switching. It's like, I don't know how to be in this place and act appropriately because we don't have to. Like there's no societal pressure to become in the mindset that you're in a theater. There's nothing left. Like I have kids that sit in my classroom act like they've never been in a classroom before. I see people in restaurants doing the same thing. It's just like that inability to do the thing you're supposed to do in that area. It's like I totally forget how to become a human being and sit down and do those things. Like maybe it's just me, but I'm serious. Like I'll
no, that's it. Code switching is great. I'm glad there's like a term for it.
We're sitting in the restaurant and the kids are small. And granted, I mean, this isn't really a thing that bothered me all that much. But if my kid is going to learn a word, I sure the heck want him to learn it from me. So if he's going to learn how to use the F word appropriately as every word part, I want him to learn it from me. And just saying that, I don't need some kid that is with his group of friends saying, see you next Tuesday. And my kid having to ask me, what's that, mommy? The only person that can see that word is Billy Butcher. But my point is like, it's that like garish American mentality that I have this freedom to do what I want in this area. And I don't care what anybody else cares. I just think that's our problem society wise. Like it might not be a thing anywhere else because that's not it. There's still decorum.
Right. And that's a whole nother can of worms.
And maybe it's because now I am 40-something, and I'm like, these kids don't know. I sound like my mother. Oh my God.
Off my lawn, kids.
I know.
So
sound like my
I want
mother.
to head over to another thing, because James, you brought up concerts. I know over in the UK and Italy, most of Europe, you guys have a lot of huge festivals, music festivals. The US used to have them, but we don't have them as much. There's a couple that are well known, like Coachella.
Well, because people get trampled, and we do dumb stuff there too.
So
Bonnaroo's coming back this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying that there's not, like in the UK, there's tons and tons of these music festivals. Are people ready are they flocking back to these festivals?
I mean, I can't really speak on behalf of festivals so much, but I know they rescheduled, like the really big stuff like Glastonbury got moved around and changed, but people are still going to concerts. As far as I'm aware, they are going to them. The interesting thing that could alter it is, I was looking at as a potential gift for my father, I was thinking about getting tickets to see the Rolling Stones. Until I noticed that, and this would be interesting to see if this is across the board for concerts, whether people would go. You buy the ticket, there's no refund, regardless of what happens. So if you get hit with COVID again, or there's some sort of issue, they won't refund. So that could stop a lot of people going to things. But from what I can see on stuff like Glastonbury, the big stuff, it's still going to go ahead. But again, you don't know what will happen. People are definitely pumped for going to them. One of my friends was due to do Glastonbury last year, and obviously it all got pulled and cancelled. So yeah, I think there's still an interest there for going to concerts and events. But you're probably going to see this across the board. The problem is it's in the lap of the gods as to what will happen. Right. Are they going to fully go ahead so you can buy your ticket and pony up to go and see it? But if it ain't going to happen, what do you do?
Yeah, well, there's another one that is very popular over there. The BBC puts it on. I believe it's called Party in the Park.
Yeah, Party in the Park. I've not been to it, but I'm aware of it. But yeah, I'm sorry on that. Can't help you on what's going with that one this year, Brian, but I do know about it. So,
Nick, what about in your neck of the woods? There are people going to concerts?
Oh, big time. I mean, both from an independent level and also on a mainstream level, in the sense that, now obviously I've switched into the country music world, but obviously I still have connections with the rock and metal world, because that's what I used to do as a DJ back in the day. And speaking actually of the UK, I mean, I know some colleagues of mine are super, super pumped about going to things like Download and Bloodstock and all those things, for example. I know that in droves they're going to go, or even one of the biggest, or the biggest country music event in Europe, which is Country to Country. It was packed this year. Anybody was there. And that's like an itinerant festival. They have it like in the UK, in Scotland, in Ireland, and in Holland, and it was packed. Not to mention also on the independent level, my brother is actually a musician, and he is now the guitarist of this semi-known rapper in Italy, and they had a sold-out show this week, and it was a big venue, sold out to the point where they had to have another gig next week because there were people who still wanted to come to the shows. And this, as I said, he's a mid-tier level artist. He's not like, a huge platinum selling artist. So there is the demand for it. And also another country music event over here, which I work at, which is Voghera Country Festival, which is coming at the end of June. The tickets are almost already sold out.
So what we are learning here is that concerts are pretty much unaffected by what COVID did compared to the movie theater industry.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. I mean, I think the demand for live music will always pretty much be there.
Well, sure. Yeah. You're talking about a live experience versus something that you literally can wait a month and watch it on TV. You can't,
exactly.
Get the live music experience in any capacity. I mean, even if you're watching the concert on TV, it's still not
anywhere near
at that event. Yeah, that's
not to mention the recorded version is usually edited and changed to sound good, right? Because you don't get the actual full experience. Because we know that a lot of jiggery pokery goes on when a live album is produced in the studio.
Yeah.
And if you're at a live event, you don't want to miss the fact that people forget the lyrics to their own songs and
exactly
accidentally fall off the stage.
I think the crazy thing about seeing concert stuff, like people post things online, is you've got 1,000 people watching a concert, and 900 of them are standing there with their phone up in the air, like, like, oh my God, you guys, come on.
Point.
So I'm curious then, while we're on the topic of concerts, and I'll start with you, Tom. Do you have a favorite concert that you've been to?
I have been to like 3 concerts in my lifetime. To me, the live music experience doesn't mean that much to me. My first ever concert, we took a friend to go see Janet Jackson for Rhythm Nation way back in the day when I was in high school, and then we went and saw oh my God, who the hell was it? L.A. Guns, Slaughter and Poison. This is like 1990. And then I remember seeing some segment of the Beach Boys at like a 4th of July thing one time. And that's it. That's my concert going experience.
What about you, Dustin?
I probably do 2 shows a year at a minimum. And COVID really messed me up, so I had some health issues because of the shot and stuff. So I haven't done much, but we just saw Coheed and Cambria just 3 weeks ago. And that was super cool in Chattanooga. They like rented out this huge open bar, like the whole floor plan was open, and they played on this like high-rise stage. It was about 10 feet tall, and you could see the band from everywhere, but there was not an area in this massive building where people weren't standing. Like it was, your chest to back. I mean, it was like going to a concert back when I was like 14 or 15 years old, where we're outside and there was, Ozfest. You know what I mean? It's literally body to body, just to get up there to see Korn play. And it's like, yeah, it was pretty cool though, because you could actually see the band. You weren't just looking up at tall people in front of you. You could see them because they were sitting up high. But it was a lot of fun. I don't think that concerts, again, have been affected as much as other forms of art or media have been, but I will say this: if you have any kind of issues with COVID or anything like that, I would not try to go to set events or set venues, because no one gives a shit that you have an issue or not. They're still going to try to get as close as they can to that stage or whatever else. So, I mean, and that harkens back to, Couth, and a lot of people don't have it. So, I'm just being honest.
So to be honest, like I have always been that person who would rather see a concert at an outdoor venue or a very small venue. So my favorite concerts that I've ever been to, like aside from the first New Kids on the Block concert we went to, because it was a lifelong dream. Like I finally got to go, because I didn't get to go when I was a child, and I'm still bitter. But when I was 18, I saw No Doubt at the State Theater in Michigan in Detroit. And we had balcony tickets, and it didn't matter. Like, I mean, balcony tickets, Gwen Stefani was still this big, and it just sounded amazing. She lit up the entire theater. It was just incredible. And so I appreciate that smaller venue kind of intimacy. And then what? Okay, go away.
Oh, what about that one concert in Vegas at the Mandalay Bay, the pool one? It was like Sugar Ray and Lit.
And then we went out and a whole bunch of like 90s acts.
Yeah.
And that was fun and wonderful.
Everclear was there
and so like I love outdoor events. Like I want to go to an amphitheater and sit on the lawn. I mean, maybe more so in Michigan, not here, because it's fucking hot and it's awful. But I mean, like, I don't know. I just appreciate that a lot more. Like, and people, they get up and they walk around and they light up and they do all kinds of stuff that they shouldn't do. But like, there's space and it's outside. So I don't care what you do.
Right.
Provided you're not running around naked in front of my children, I'm good. Like, oh.
James, what about you? Do you have, favorite concert
Yeah,
experience?
yeah. I mean, I've been to a few of them. Probably the one that stands out the most is, well, I've done it, seen him twice, was Paul McCartney, just for the sheer, thing you've seen somebody who's in the Beatles, you've seen Paul McCartney. That cost me a lot of money, but it was worth it for the whole experience. But yeah, I mean, I get that. I think everyone was spot on when they said it has a bit more weight to it to see a live concert or a live act over going to the cinema, something like that. You will make the time to go and see it. But yeah, McCartney's the one that still stands out forever in my brain. 2.5 hours, and he didn't stop. There was no break, and he's like at that point, maybe about 77, something like that. More energy than I've got.
Nick, I know with your background in the industry, you've probably seen everybody under the sun. I know there's an interesting story with you and a certain lead singer that I heard on another show.
There are a few. I mean, if you're referring to the Billy Joe Armstrong story, that was an interesting one. That was at a Green Day concert where, we ended kind of getting high backstage after having interviewed him. So that was a fun time because I guess Billy Joe knew that he wasn't in America, so it was more kind of open and free and everything. I was like, is it okay if I smoke this? I'm like, yeah, go ahead, smoke it, man. And so in the end, we kind of just shared a few joints here and there and just had a good time after. And I was able to actually do the interview sober before we actually started smoking, so that was good. But when it comes to live experiences, I'm kind of maybe a little bit jaded at this point because having had the background as a music journalist and having had to cover tons and tons of concerts, it's almost like work for me these days if I go, because I'm like, I can't enjoy it for the pure experience. I'm literally sitting down, analyzing, saying, okay, is the guitar on cue? Is the singer doing it right? Are they remembering this? Is the bass line too loud? Is the production levels? And I just can't get out of that journalist mindset. And so I can't enjoy a concert anymore. Music journalism kind of ruined the concert experience for me. But I have actually 3 favorite concerts, and they're all German artists, mind you, which is interesting, which is Halloween during the Dark Ride Tour, Rammstein, which I saw at the Download Festival, and Blind Guardian, which I saw over here as well. It was during my very sort of hardcore metal days where those are definitely my favorites. I mean, also when they were like among my first concerts I actually experienced. So, you're young and you're super high powered and it was great. And I remember we were actually driving one of my best friend's dad crazy because he was driving us, picking us up and leaving us there and stuff. And so we were literally, so high strung at that point that we were like, it was so amazing and everything else. And he's driving us home. It's like, I don't know, 2 a.m. He's like, why am I doing this and everything else? So we drove him nuts, but no, it was good times. I mean, I guess, so I won't be able to see live music anymore. I still have to for work, but I guess, I don't know, as just a regular guy in civvies, I wouldn't be able to do it anymore.
I feel like that about comic books now. No bullshit. Like, I can't get.
Well, that's how I am like with the movies. People always get on me about the movie. Oh, Tom, you hate everything. I'm like, no, I'm analyzing it. I'm not coming into this movie and being like, oh my God, let's read Spider-Man. Like, I don't care. I want to know how you paced this thing. I want to see how you put this whole thing together, and then I'll give you sort of a altogether, review of everything. Like, fine, you got the pops for your Spider-Man, but the rest of it really wasn't all that great, guys.
I remember seeing something somebody said when you'd done a review about a movie. They were like, Tom hates fucking everything. The next day, Tom comes back home and posts this video or this picture. He's bought like 30 DVDs, and he was like, I don't hate everything,
But that's also, I guess, the problem. That's a problem, I guess, obviously, in inverted commas, when you do have to do it that way. I mean, it's like when you're reviewing albums, for example. At the time, I was sent like 10 or 12 albums to review. After a while, you're literally giving everything a bad review because you're just like, I've heard this before. It's so repetitive. The chorus, the thing, it's so structured. And the movies is the same thing. That's why, in defense of film critics, I will say these people have to watch a lot of movies. So don't get on them because they seem to hate everything. It's simply that they've seen it so many times. Once you've seen a trope repeat itself so many times, it gets sickening. So it's not they hate the movie. It's not that it keeps repeating itself. I mean, I'm totally in your ballpark there, Tom, because, having to review movies myself, sometimes you have to be harsh because you're analyzing it as an art form and not necessarily as,
Right.
oh my God, it's the latest this, it's the latest that.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, let's hop into Tom and Dustin's world, the comic industry with Comic Cons and stuff. I know a lot of people said prior to COVID that the Comic Cons were kind of dying out and becoming more media based.
Yeah, they weren't dying. They were just changing their focus.
The evolution to
Yeah.
cosplay and anime is what.
Well, and
Yeah.
bringing in movie
Pop
stars
culture.
rather
Yeah,
than
yeah.
comic book stars. Yeah.
Yeah.
They,
You don't
they
see-
were going from comic cons into pop culture cons.
Right.
So the comic part was being left behind.
How do you see that industry post COVID? Do you see people going back to those in droves like they were before?
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go, Tom.
Well, I was just gonna say there really hasn't. I mean, there's been a handful of cons since middle of 2021, kind of. Most of them have been small. New York went off, C2E2 went off. Those were both late last year. So there's really only been a handful of real sort of places you can look at and see what's going on. New York was 50% capacity, but some of that was because they were forced to be 50% capacity. So again, when you go state to state, you're going to get different rules and guidelines. C2E2, I was there basically just for Friday. It was very, very full for a Friday, but it was really only full in Artist Alley. Everywhere else was more or less a ghost town. But the shows that I've done, what's the question?
I was going to say, so are people then going to be, because San Diego didn't happen last year. Right. Are people going to be looking at San Diego this year? Because it is going on this year.
Oh, sure. They'll be looking at it. What California will allow, who knows? They might not allow 100,000 people in the room. I don't know. But people are looking to do it. What I was going to say is that the shows that I've done personally have all been small. Most of them one-day shows. A couple of them were two-day shows. But those shows were packed in the context of a small show. A couple thousand people over the weekend, 2,000, 3,000 people. So I think it's similar to the movies, is that people want to get out, they want to go do these things. I think once the movie stars return, because all the movie stars pulled out too, they were like, I'm not going to this COVID infested con. So I think once the movie stars start to really come back, that will again be like, oh, well, I can go get Tom Holland's autograph now, so I'll go back to the con. Similar to, hey, Batman's at the theater, let's go see Batman. So I think all of that will work itself out over time. People want to get out of their house. They've been in the house for too long. They want to get out, whether it's the movies, whether it's a concert, whether it's Comic-Con. They want to get out. And I haven't really seen anything that tells me that con attendance is going to be, waning forever, because again, Comic-Con is similar again to a concert. It's not a movie. Like, you're going there, you're seeing people, you're talking to them live, you're getting autographs. It is an experience similar to like the concert experience that you really can't get anywhere else. So I think people will come back to the cons. I think it's just a matter of what are the people looking for, because like we said, most of them be coming, hey, Chris Evans is here and Tom Holland is here. And if I hear that at a con, well, Tom's not going to be there, because everybody that's going to be at that show is just there for them, and they're going to spend their $500, and there's going to be no money left in the room. So I'm going to go do the small shows, right. And where maybe there's a couple of Power Rangers. Like, who cares? I can compete with Power Rangers, but I can't compete with Tom Holland.
Right. I think Tom hit the nail on the head. I think that's the long and short of it at the same time. Coming up this show, like we did it last year, it's a great show. It's a small show. But
Suncoast, by the way.
Suncoast, yep. Suncoast Comic-Con. Carrie brings on great folks every year. I mean, he's really cool to all of us. And it's a pleasure. But when you go in there and it's a comic show. It's a comic show. When they're in there buying comics, people are talking comics. There's vendors from all the big publishers. You know what I mean? You've got your grading station right down the way. It's a comic show. And I think when you talk about looking for comics, I don't think you have to go to these giant shows where, like Tom just mentioned, go to the smaller shows if that's what you're there for. If you want to see comic guys, go to the littler shows. You're going to find the comic guys because we want to be seen. But as Tom mentioned, none of us, unless you're like Jim Lee, can compete with, Tom Holland and stuff hanging out. You could be Greg Horn and have the greatest display in the entire place. But if you've got, the entire Marvel Avengers down the way, no one gives a shit. You know what I mean? So it's all a competition between that genre of art and our genre of art. And then you've got the anime shows, right? We did not even anime show. We did a cosplay convention we were invited to last year. And, me being new, I go to every show I get invited to, right? I get excited about it. And April Reyna and I were there, and it was just like no other comic vendors but us in the entire place, and cosplay everywhere. You know what I mean? So it all has to do with what you're looking for. If you pay attention, do your homework, figure out what shows you want to go to, you'll see what you want to see. And there's plenty of people. I mean, it's wall-to-wall people at all these shows, man. No one gives a shit anymore. Like I said, if you want to wear your mask, wear your mask. If you don't. No one cares. Unless it's state mandate that you need to do this or do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the world we live in. Tom, again, hit the nail on the head with the fact this is post-COVID world. You know what I mean? We have to deal with it, and we're always going to have to deal with it. So, I mean, yeah, people are going to get over it. People will be there. I think that with the last show we did here in Tennessee, I can't even remember the name of it. It was a very small show, but it was like 15 of us that did it. And there were people there the whole time, just the whole time. There was nobody never a space where people could walk because they were just trying to get books. They were trying to get new things. And that leads into Free Comic Book Day. I'm sure that's going to be huge too. You know what I mean? I'm sure it'll be great all over the country, all over the world.
Because last year it was kind of canceled and then moved to August, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this year it is May 7th.
Yep.
So.
I think
coming up.
I think a lot of it too, though, is like it depends on the pressure that money puts on a lot of people. So if you have the finances to go to some of these places, you'll go and you'll spend that money on the bigger people. But like,
well, he's right, because like the bigger ones are like expensive.
We're not gonna go. We're probably not gonna go to MegaCon this year, and I really am not sad about that. Like,
I'm not sad about it either because I'm not doing it either this year.
It was like
or the year before last, and it was not.
Like, I mean, because we went and it was like, okay. I mean, it's nice to see people, but at the end of the day, I'd rather see my friends that are creators. I'd rather check out cool new stuff. I'd rather, meet people that are like that have been in the industry. Like those things are more important to me now than they were before. Okay. And so like, I'd rather go to the smaller shows.
Well, you're paying the big shows. You're paying the ticket prices for the Jim Lees to be there. Your bigger creators, not just creators either, but your movie stars, your actors, your whatever. Yeah. And your Donnie Cates, you're paying for those tickets. So.
I mean, we'll forego brain fart. MegaCon for Phantasm and Spookella.
We're going to the horror convention next month.
And for all of the things, like just because we went to Phantasm and I had a great time, right. And I didn't know half the people that were there.
Yeah,
like I legitimately, the only person I knew was James
Jude
Courtney.
Yeah,
and that was only because Brian said that's who it was. And I didn't care because I had a good time.
Yeah, and like the horror convention is totally different than a Comic-Con. Like it's like a whole. I don't know if you've ever been to a horror convention, but
Walker Stalker, man, I used to vend Walker Stalker.
Yeah, well, there's a name you don't hear anymore after how they screwed over so many people. But
I don't know anything about that. But we vended there a couple years ago, six years ago.
But then I'm super excited about Spookella because it's a lot of different stuff.
Like, next month we're going to Spookella and Ocala.
Like Ice Kills will be there, and
dope.
James Jude Courtney.
James Jude Courtney is going to be there.
Dan Housen's going to be there.
Yeah, the wrestler Dan
Malachi Black. So like the kids can see things and do things that
Felicia Rose from Sleepaway Camp is going to be there.
Crazy.
I think we're in this position now where people are starting to figure out, like, and this is why I see a lot of the same people at cons anymore. It's like they're figuring out like where they need to go. Like, okay, here I'm this person in, whatever, Arizona. And if I'm going to go to a con, I'm going to go for a specific reason, whether they're there for Tom Holland. Okay, I'm going to go for Tom Holland. If they're there for comic books, I'm going to go there for comic books. And I think that's where a lot of the comic book people need to start realizing that any of these big cons that are filled with movie stars, that's probably not where you need to be. If you want to make money. Now, there's different reasons to go. Like going to San Diego is not really about selling product. It's about the environment. It's about the fact that everybody's there. It's about making connections. There's other reasons to go to these cons. But if your concern is, I need to make money at this con, don't chase the cons that have the movie stars, because the audience is going for those movie stars. They're not going for you. And I think we're starting to see a lot of this kind of break up, like same with the horror stuff, right? You go to the horror conventions, you better have something that's going to tie into their thought process. You can't go to a horror con with Superman. Like, no one cares. But, you've got, if you can go in there with Ghost Rider or whatever you want, then you're going to tie into that audience.
Or
so every one of these little events has its own. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You've got to have something that audience is going to want, and you got to understand what audience that convention is bringing, and then you got to decide if you can sell to them or not.
And Tom and Dustin, actually, if you guys do want to get out of the States and across the Atlantic, there is actually a comic book convention over here in Italy, in Tuscany, called Lucca Comics, which is very comic book centric. It's not all about like the movie stars and everything else. They're more about, the artists, the writers, and everything else. So if you guys are ever in the mood to, as I said, cross the pond, come to Italy and enjoy some good food, some good wine, and everything else, there is Lucca Comics in Tuscany.
I'm there. I just got to figure out where I sell my kidney. That's.
I will. So I just wrote that down, so I'm going to look that up and see.
Me too.
That's Lucca with 2 C's, mind you.
2 C's.
Right on. 2 C's. I'm on it. We do a show on Friday nights called Comics Unbound, which is actually I have another company called Ethereal Down Under, which is actually a publication in the country of Australia. So what you guys will see on Friday nights is we bring on artists and writers from Australia to BS with us, along with people we bring on from the States, so we can interact and introduce people to different fan bases and stuff like that. I've been meaning to take hops across ponds quite frequently, and it's a little pricey, especially right now with gas being what it is. It's a little, it's pretty hefty to try to, I think like right now, even like flying within the States, they wanted me to go to Dallas coming up in June. And I was like, sweet, I'll do Dallas. April and I'll go. And they were like, it's $400 round trip. And I was like, whoa, just to fly from Nashville to Dallas is ridiculous right now, man. So I don't know. I think that's hampering a lot of people going to shows as well. If we want to pay out the gas, if you're driving, like I'm driving to Florida this week coming up, which is an 11-hour drive for me. So it's like, do I want to pay the price of that or do I want to, fly, and however you want to get to where you're going. Now I'm learning a little bit from guys like Tom, where I'm like, you know what? I need to be a guest or a featured guest before I drive my ass 11, 12 hours anymore. So I am learning how to work this, industry a little bit myself. So yeah, I'm not driving 12 hours if I'm, paying $500 for tables. So, those are all these little nuances about it, but I would love to start going overseas, man. Majority of our sales until October of last year were overseas. I sold crazy in the UK, and as soon as they put that, I guess it was an embargo on shipping, it was ridiculous. Like to Australia right now for me is $50-something for 2 books, man. I can't. It's craziness.
$50 just for 2 books?
2 books, man. $50-something from USPS to Australia.
Australia is nonsense. They
They
don't want mail. They're like, we don't want to have a post office anymore, so we're just going to keep raising prices until no one sends anything anymore.
Well, now I print there. So I don't ship to them anymore. I just print there. So.
Oh right, yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah. So now, but we do it's second prints. So they're like we have artists over there do their covers for the books over there. So
sure.
Mad fun. Yeah, I couldn't do that to folks. I felt terrible. I did it like 3 times, and I was like, "Are you sure you really want to pay that to the books. Or yeah, no, it's awful.
Hey, James, are you familiar with any Comic Cons in the UK? I think there's a big one in London, I believe.
I mean, I was going to say the cons are definitely still on. The most recent one that we've had, I couldn't go to, but thankfully one of my friends went to it, which was Liverpool. You know, great. Sorry, Liverpool's coming up. The one that he went to was Telford, which Wales. Great turnout. Really, and he was saying that. It's my friend Sean. He does voiceover work, he's an actor, but he was there just going to go to it, not as a guest. But he was just saying, the turnout was great. David Tennant people were there. Kevin Conroy was there. Will Friedle. Huge queues, great interaction. It's the same thing everyone was sort of saying that, there wasn't so much interest in mask wear and stuff like that. I think Evangeline Lilly was there as well. So people are still going to them. There's a real interest in people attending them. But it's been mentioned already. It's who the guest is. So if it's an actor or a comic book creator of, enough caliber, people are going to go to it. What I have noticed, and I'd love to hear other people's views on this, is that I've noticed there's been quite a dropout rate on guests, though. I know there's always going to be a dropout rate on guests, but I'm noticing that following the COVID situation, it seems to be happening a bit more readily.
Yeah,
where
there was
the dropout is just on some of them. It's blowing my mind. 'Cause it's like you're getting like guest cancellation at levels I've never seen before. I've seen cancellations.
There was a period of time where all the movie star people were like, "Yo, we're not doing this."
Even some of the big name comic people would pull out.
Yeah. Even at G-Fest this year, the Godzilla convention in Chicago, the hotel and the dealer's room, you can just go in without a mask. But if you go into the movie star room, it's required to have a mask in there. And that's the only way that the Japanese actors will come over and do signings at G-Fest. So there's definitely a concern from the actor side of, how many people they're meeting, how many fists they're shaking, and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I still think there's definitely, as I said, there's an interest. People are attending them. But you are seeing I think when you get to them, there must be some sort of stuff in place, obviously, to do with COVID. It's going to happen. But obviously, there's nothing that's sort of mandatory anymore. But yeah, I do wonder, in some respects, whether guests will be happily still going to some of them, and whether that will, on the smaller scale, really hamper some of them, that they're not going to be able to keep going, that they are going to end up having to pull the plug. But I'm happy to say on the things that I've seen that I know people who are attending them, or I know guests at them, they are still happening. But it's just like it is the dropout rate has surprised me for guests that they may.
Well, yeah, and I hear
don't want to do it.
Yeah, and I get people that they'll hear somebody canceled, and then somebody was going to the Comic-Con, and they're like, "Well, this is the only reason I bought a ticket." I'm like, really?
And I'm seeing that a lot. But
the only reason you're going is for that actor. Like,
yeah,
I think you're doing it wrong, man. But okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'll tell you one, and I will not mention the gig, but if you want afterwards, we can discuss it. You mentioned the dropout of one person. They cancelled the entire con because one person wasn't going. And that just blew my mind to cancel.
I mean, that has to be a pretty large person, I would imagine.
Yeah. That was it was big, but there were other people who were supposed to be at it as well.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't, but to cancel something over one person, yeah.
We just had Vegas was just moved. A bunch of us are doing Vegas. It was supposed to be coming up, and they've moved that to September, like months back. And I'm like, I get it if you move it like a year out. You know what I mean?
Which Vegas show? Because they have a couple now.
Amazing Vegas.
The Amazing Vegas, yeah.
Okay.
I was really excited about it because it was like, we've never been to Vegas, and it's supposed to be a really good show. So, and like I said, there's like 10 of us going. So it's like, go have a good time, make some money, yada, yada. But they moved it like 2 months before the show. And it's like, well, now you've got flights and stuff you're canceling. You've got things you're swapping. It's not just one person. You're talking about everybody that had pre-ordered tickets or everybody that was working the show. And I'm still going because it's going to be badass regardless in August. But it's still like, man, what possesses you to move something of that caliber, in that amount of time? So
I would guess that they had cancellations
That's what I was
that
thinking.
they had people that were like, yeah, we can't do it, and they just said, okay, we'll move it out.
Yeah,
that would be my guess. I don't know, but that'll be my
that's
guess.
that's what it seemed like. That's what the email was, very, very vague, that we all got. You know what I mean? But I would assume that, and I think that it's going to be a great show though for anybody that shows up and can hang out and have fun. Bright Lights, big city, that whole big deal. So who knows? Might go hit some slots.
I was just about to say, the trick to Vegas is that when you have people, particularly when you have people coming into Vegas for the con, you are now you are essentially just like having Tom Holland in the room. You're now competing with the nightlife. Right. And so while somebody might come in from, Florida, like, hey, we're going to the Vegas con from Florida and we've got, $1,000 to throw around. Well, half of that's going to the nightlife. So you're immediately you've paid your Tom Holland money and there's half the money in the room. That's the trick to Vegas. It's a little strange. There are plenty of locals that come out, and locals are fine because they don't do the nightlife. But that's always been sort of the challenge with Vegas.
Or the locals do the nightlife that's off the strip because we don't pay.
Oh, sure.
Well, I think that's another topic that from your experience you've seen, and you can talk about the fact that a bunch of us will go to a show and it may not be for the income. You may be going to rub elbows, you may be going to make contacts, and those are really integral things. Like April and I are talking. We got invited to do New York this year, and it's like, hey, look, that could be a lot of fun. We've never done it. Neither of us have ever done it, and we can imagine, what the cost is to travel into the city, out of the city, all that jazz. And I'm just thrilled to go. I've put money aside and been like, hey, look, I may not make this money back because of everything going on and what you spend and all that, but we'll meet people, we'll see things, we'll get to talk to artists that we normally don't get to talk to. From my perspective and things like that, being a publisher that hasn't been around very long, some folks still don't know I exist. So if I reach out to them, a lot of times they think I'm spam. You know what I mean? So there's an artist that I'll reach out to and be like, man, I'd really like to work with you. And I'll hear nothing back because it goes right to the spam folder, and I'm like, cool, look, if I meet them in person and can show them the product, it's like, hey, would you like to work on this? Then generally speaking, most people, get in on stuff. But
I've been doing this for 12 years and I'm still spam, man. It's it doesn't get easier.
So what you should do is take a can of spam and put your face on it.
Yeah. I did that with a milk carton for an ad last year. That was pretty funny. So, I had fun with that, but
yeah. So we talked about the movie industry. We talked about Comic Cons and concerts. Something that's really big, especially in the UK and Italy, sports. Do you see a lot of people going back to sports post-COVID? I know here we had a Super Bowl that was 60,000 plus people. We had WrestleMania, over 2 days, both having over 70,000 people in Dallas.
40,000 people.
Yeah,
that's never been a 2-day event before, has it? Isn't that?
They just started doing it 2 days because people were tired of WrestleMania being 7 hours long.
Oh, okay, right on.
Yeah, I don't think there is a massive drop off. I think people are still going to stuff. I don't think it's really impacted. If you look at, say, football, it's outside. So it's an outside venue. You're not going to have the same hang-ups as going to something that's locked in an indoor venue. So, yeah, I don't think it's impacted, to my knowledge, from people.
I know here, they, what was it last year? NBA did a hub city. So, all the teams played in one city to keep everything, on lockdown.
That's what they did with the NHL last season as well.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because it's very much still that event mentality. It's I'm going to the game. I'm going there. I'm going to be there. And so for me, I don't want to watch it on television.
It's different.
I want to be there. Mm-hmm. So being at a live event is much different when it's sports related. Do I want to go to the Super Bowl? No. But will I go to, say, an NFL game? Yeah, because it's totally different. That mentality is different. You're going to
the energy, man.
The energy is there. You're part of it.
You're drunk as shit, and yeah,
people are yelling at people,
right?
And even with even wrestling events, I think that
it's different live.
It's different live, but it's it's fun too when it's a smaller venue. Like that has been, this is like my theme. The smaller the venue. So like when we went to Daly's place, like, you know, we didn't have like floor seats. We had second tier seats. We could see everybody below us, and there were people above us. And it didn't matter because everybody was, you know, electric, having fun. I think that that's the point. It's like when you're going to a sporting event, you're amongst your people, you know, they're all singing your song, you know.
I'll tell you this: floor seats, lower row areas, floor seats at wrestling is the worst place you can be, because like we talked about with the concerts, with everybody with their phone. Imagine all of those people, instead of their phone, holding up signs for the entire event.
Or standing
in front of you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And go with children that are horizontally challenged. Like they are height challenged. They're mine. So like they're 4 foot tall and they're like, Mom, I can't see. Now, how is that fun for them? You know, like we purposely pick the second tier. Now, unless you're going to be ringside,
like the ringside,
and you're the first row hanging over the thing, whatever the hell that thing is called. Then and somebody's sweating on me. That's the only way that it's going to matter. But like even at events,
pay extra for the sweat.
The beer bottle that Adam Page drank out of and smashed over Adam Cole's head the other day. You know, like those things are worth it. But even on like the entrance ramps, like where you're still seeing stuff, it's okay. But if you're gonna stand behind somebody, it's no fun. Like it takes something away from it. And it is like that at the concerts too. Like I prefer balcony seats or lawn seats, or, you know, something where I can just take in.
You pay to see what, I mean, you pay to see the sporting event, the concert, or whatever you want to see, right? You didn't pay to see somebody's back.
I didn't pay to see somebody's ass.
But yeah, to piggyback off what Nicole was saying, so I think sports events, just like music, are tribal events because you're literally part of a tribe. And that's, I mean, which is a sociological term. At least sociologists explain why there are supporters of teams, because you are literally part of a tribe, or why you follow a certain musician, because there is the tribe. You know, you've got the Swifters, you've got the what's you call it, you have the whatevers, and because you belong to something which
that
is
sounds
bigger.
like an interesting league, the whatchamacallits.
Yeah, I mean, sadly I don't have the creativity of Dr. Seuss, so I can't think of really fun names, but you know, it's like I guess the potheads or what have you. But anyways, so yeah, you know, obviously you're part of something bigger. It literally becomes a religion. And that's why it's very tribal. And to James's point, over here in Italy, football still huge. People still go into every single football event they can go to. I'm also a big NHL fan, a big Montreal Canadiens fan. And so it hurt me big time to see the Bell Center empty with nobody there. And in Canada, they were even stricter than they were in the US with their COVID stuff. And so basically all the Canadian NHL teams were hit really, really bad. But yeah, now everybody's back and it's great to see. And of course, you know, I also have a lot of friends who are Habs fans like myself, and they said, oh, it's wonderful to see everybody going back to see the game. Granted, the Habs suck this season, but they are still devoted to the team and still going, because obviously Montreal, it's a religion. As I said, the Montreal Canadiens you actually have Canadians flags flying over churches. That's how big the Canadians are for Montreal. So yeah, it's I think it's never going to go away. Just like live music, sports and live music are definitely never going to go away.
So let me ask the most important question here, and I refer to football because that's what you guys call it over there. We call it soccer. Who is the more rowdiest? I'm going to pit Italy versus the UK, and I'm going to see here, James, starting with you.
Ooh, well, that's a tricky. I'm gonna get shot depending on how I respond to this, but I would probably say we could be probably the more rowdy, you know, but with good reason, because obviously we're the better team.
Well, James, sorry, James, sorry about the Euro final there, man. Sorry about that. I forgot
Well,
who won
these
that
things
game.
happen.
I forgot.
Yeah, I've forgotten too. Yeah,
I have a short memory. Who won?
Yeah.
it?
Nick is
Okay.
already more
Memory-
rowdy. He wins.
memory
it's
lapse.
already
Yeah.
it's
a memory
decided.
lapse for me.
Hey,
Yeah.
I think everybody's glad that nobody from Brazil is in here right now, though, having this conversation,
Oh.
because it just wouldn't be good.
I mean, I think from a national standpoint, the Brits do have the reputation of being the rowdier ones.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but you guys have kind of earned that reputation. I mean, it's something that, I mean, I'm just saying, and it's no diss or anything. What I'm saying is the word.
I don't take it as a diss.
I mean, the word hooligan has become a universal term, and it is a British term. So goes to show you that, in a sense, they've kind of earned that rep. I mean, if you will, in the sense they're hardcore fans. Granted, there are really stupid fans over here in Italy who are really, really hardcore and just set fire to trains and do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So, especially when you have the big city games, like, for example, from the same city. I mean, AC Milan and Inter Milan, for example, is a mess. Napoli versus Salernitana is a mess. So it's when those two teams are of the same city, then you have to watch out, where people are literally going to beat each other up. They're going to set fire to the buses. They're going to do all that kind of stuff because they really, really hate each other.
You guys have got that other sport, though, over there that I think makes Italy that much more over the edge, though, to be honest with you. You guys, what is that like that Spartan, the Spartan, like, football game?
Well, we have what is known as the Tuscan games, which are medieval games that they still reenact in Tuscany, and that stuff is really hardcore.
I mean, they're beating the hell out of each other. Like,
yes,
like
very
dudes
much
are
so.
walking away bloody and arms broken, and it's just like,
yeah,
they get paid, but they get paid thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars for these games. But that's what they do for a living. They play these games like once a year. And then they're on a team from whatever area they're from. They do it once a year, and it's like,
like gladiator fights. We could bring in the gladiator.
They're literally like
kinda
fights, like beating the shit out of each other to get the ball from one end to the other side of the.
And there, it's literally one city. It's all in Siena, which is in Tuscany once again. And you kind of belong to different guilds because every family has like a tradition of belonging to a guild, and so you have like these guild wars, literally, and so it's that's the most violent one. But in Italy, as I said, national wise, I think the Brits tend to be rowdier than we. I mean, we're pretty crazy, but other than that, I think it's the clubs. The clubs can get really, really bad.
Yeah, I've never understood why you end up with fights, even with the teams who won will kick off and start fighting. I've never understood that. It makes no sense to me.
Well, it's like the riots, the breakouts, as I saw with the Stanley Cup. I mean, even if you're the winning team, there will still be a riot. I know that, for example, in Montreal, if Montreal makes the Stanley Cup final, shopkeepers will literally lock up for the whole period in which that period is on, because they don't want their stores getting trashed.
Yeah.
Well,
regardless of the outcome.
Los Angeles and Oakland, like with their football teams, that they would have done that too. Like Chicago's like that too.
I don't know if it happened in Detroit because we've been out of the running for NHL for a long time.
Well, the Red Wings, they were a dynasty like back in the day.
Well,
oh yeah,
they were all Canadian or Russian, but anyways, I never understood that, but I understand where the mentality comes from. It's like you have to somehow tell people that you're dismayed by what happened. But I mean, I get it, but it comes right down to that whole, we're entitled and we feel the need to ruin other people's things because we're not happy with what happened. Yeah. It's like, well, get over it. There'll be one next year.
Yeah. I do have to say, though, when it comes to like the World Cup, Italy and UK is always better than the US.
Well, this year we're not even going. So there you go. I mean, I guess James has that over us. Italy's not going for the second consecutive time, even though we are literally champions of Europe. We did not make it to the World Cup because we had to go lose against Northern Macedonia. So there you go.
These things happen.
I know. Exactly. But I also did want to add something which is kind of interesting, that from riots, art can be created, like the famous photograph of the Vancouver Kiss. If you guys have ever heard of that, basically it dates back to a couple of Stanley Cups ago when Vancouver was in the Stanley Cup final against the Boston Bruins. and Vancouver, the Canucks lost, and a huge riot broke out in Vancouver. And you basically have this beautiful, very poetic photograph where you have people literally beating the hell out of each other, and right in the middle is a couple making out. And that guy was there. He took a photo of it, and it's literally then went around the world and is known as the Vancouver kiss.
That's interesting. I'm gonna have to look this up now. I did not know this. You learn something new every day. Well, I mean, now I guess since we've kind of hit on all of the subjects of the topic, we can kind of just do a free-for-all here. I do want Tom to kind of talk about what he's got going on, and then Dustin, what he's got going on. So, Tom, you want to talk about what you got going on?
Yeah, so this behind me is Ursa Minor. This is we're celebrating 10 years of publishing this book this year. So we've got a series of Kickstarters all throughout the year, April, July, and October. We'll be doing 3 issues that will be the equivalent of 100 pages, a complete story arc all year long. So we have basically 10 days left on the campaign. We crossed over $20,000 today as we rolled into our final 10 days. It's old school horror. It's vampires, werewolves, all the blood, claws, and fangs that, horror fans love, and none of the sparkly, angsty things that, no one else loves. So it's a throwback to old, I'm 50 years old. So, I grew up with horror in the 80s, Friday the 13th and The Howling, and, all these things were seminal moments for me as a kid. And so this book taps into all of those horror elements that I love. And, we're excited to finally get back to it because it's been a while. We've been doing a lot of 10-year anniversaries for all of our different books because we've been publishing for 12 years now. So last year was The Legend of Oz 10-year anniversary. The year before that was Critter and Penny for Your Soul. So there's a lot going on, but we're finally get to focus on this book, and, really excited to do it. Like I said, we just crossed 20,000 today. It's already the best Ursa Minor campaign we've ever done by a long shot. We're looking to be able to grow it all year long, like we've done with all the other books.
I don't know how to do the host thing. I just sit here.
For those that understand Kickstarter and know what we do, there's a number of variant covers and so on. We have some cosplay stuff in there as well. Morgan Bailey's doing some cosplay covers. We've already unlocked some stretch goals. There's going to be a special full moon Easter stretch goal tomorrow when we get to Easter tomorrow. So there's still a lot to go, even though we've got 10 days left. But if you like horror comics or horror stories, vampires, again, werewolves, our lead character is Naomi. She's actually the last of the werebears. So it's a fun book. It's a fun book, which is what we do at Big Dog Inc. We are there messages in the stories? Of course, but the focus is always that when you're done reading, did you have a good time? Were you excited by it? Did you have fun with it? Yes, and we did our job. That's what we do.
And where can they reach out to you, Tom?
Yeah, so right here, Big Dog Inc. I live on Facebook for the most part, and we have a Big Dog Inc. page there. But if you look us up on Instagram and Twitter and all that kind of stuff, BDI Comics, or if you just type in Big Dog Inc., you'll find us. And then of course, right there, if you just go to Kickstarter, this is very difficult when everything's backwards. Kickstarter.com and type in Ursa Minor, we'll pop right up to the top, or you can type in my name and I should come up to the top as well. So very, very easy to. And then generally, Brian will post links. I think so. We've had some fans posting links in our chat as well. So if you scroll up through the chats, you'll see the links that'll go straight to the campaign. And Dustin, if they haven't dropped yours in, make sure you drop your link in there as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
Or you could have a coming soon link, right?
Yeah, I haven't got it built yet. It'll be done this weekend.
Okay.
But,
Let's see.
Yeah, I'll definitely vouch for Tom's stuff. It's beautiful stuff, man. The art's great. He's got amazing team members. I mean, great folks working on that book. And I'll say this: I'm a fan of Ursa. Yeah. So if you guys you're into the scary stuff, yeah, definitely check it out. I was blown away by it when I first saw it, and I continue to be blown away by it every time we see something.
Yeah.
New, so,
can you guys put in the links in the private chat, because StreamYard's not showing the chats for some reason.
it is weird. It's not showing them right. I put mine in the private chat already. So, but then, like Tom mentioned, I've got If It Hops 1 dropping at the end of the month, which is going to be a lot of fun. If you're an anthropomorphic fan, it's about this special agent bunny chick that gets involved with some really gnarly shenanigans in her city. So I'm pretty stoked about that. If you're a fan of beautiful art, funny babes, you're definitely going to have fun. It is scary in the sense of like a 7 type of storyline. So I think you guys will have fun with it. I've also got Theater 7, the preview for that dropping on that campaign as well, which has got Devin Massey of Cavewoman fame is doing all the interior art from that. So I think that'll be pretty exciting because he's been doing Cavewoman for quite some time now. So to see him do something different, I'm really, really hyped about that. And I think the fan base will enjoy it. So yeah, I got bunnies and then I got crazy chicks at a theater. So I think you guys will have fun. But yeah, it's like Tom said though as well. It's all about giving to you guys and making sure you guys enjoy our stories and come back. You know, yeah, just pick it up, read it, tell me what you think about it. You know, those pre-orders are fun. One great thing about us is we put out a book every 6 weeks. So as soon as you're done with it, you can drop reviews on the website, which is www.ethereal-comics.com. You can go in there and you can, get on the posts page, talk about the books, talk about the artwork, talk about anything you want to talk about, questions about the books. Sometimes we print the questions in the books so you guys can check out some answers from the team. I don't know, man. It's fun. I have a good time with it.
And this is the other part of the campaign that we're doing. We expanded
cool.
our stretch goal. Stretch goal is basically you reach a certain dollar amount and you get some extra bonus items. So in this one, instead of doing a whole bunch of like little things like stickers and trading cards and so on, we actually created a new comic as a stretch goal. So this is already unlocked. They unlocked this thing in 4 days. It was unbelievable. So basically, this is my sort of love letter to the shark genre in movies. It's sort of I'm a big Jaws fan, so in my mind I've always had a script for what Jaws 5 could, should, might want to be, and so I've taken, since Universal doesn't care, I've taken those ideas and basically this is Jaws 5, kind of, sort of, wink wink, nudge nudge, blended with my my love of just the shark genre over the years, and so this is actually a stretch goal that you can get as part of the campaign as well if you guys pledge. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Great.
Yeah,
I love the additions like that. Like this past time, we added 6 pages to BGD, the last issue of BGD we put out, and it was like people seem to really be vibing with stretch goals like that versus the stickers and stuff.
Content, yeah. I mean, and I've been talking to my fans for like the last 6 months about this. I'm like, do you want another trading card? Do you want another sticker, or do you want more content? And invariably it was like, dude, give us more content. Like however you want to do content, give us more content. Bonus pages, extra comics, whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna try it. And like I said, I fully expected this to take at least a week to 10 days to unlock this thing based on our previous Ursa Minor campaigns and what they did. They unlocked this thing in 4 days. They were like, yeah, just give us the damn shark already. I'm like, okay, here's your shark. It's
That's
fine.
It's own full length story before long. It's gonna have its own stuff going on for sure.
Yep.
And Nick and James, Tom has there's Ursa Minor there from the last what was the last campaign that you guys did for Ursa Minor?
That was 2020, the end of 2020.
Yeah. Tom does, Kickstarter, which is the future of the comic industry. Diamond, and sure, everybody loves the comic book stores, but even those are kind of going the way of the dinosaur. So Tom was one of the first creators to actually field or minefield the Kickstarter, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I mean, yeah, Brian Polito was doing it before I was, but
he's on another level.
Yeah, he's on another level. But in fairness, he did it before I did. He came into it about a year before I did, started trying it out. But yeah, it was definitely, it took a while before a lot of the publishers kind of figured out that this isn't a platform for begging for money. It's literally a sales platform and a pre-order platform, just like Diamond is, just like your distribution.
Yeah.
You know, you come on, you say, okay, I want that cover. I'm paying you $25, and it shows up in your mailbox in 2 or 3 months. I mean, it's literally the same system as getting comics without the going to the comic book store. So yeah, I was one of the, I mean, I'm still very, very small time in this industry, but I was definitely one of the earlier sort of, you know, small publisher guys to kind of, you know, try this out and see how it worked. And we've been doing it now. This is literally all we do. We left Diamond, we left distribution about 5-6 years ago. And this is the only way that we do our new books. Obviously we do web store sales and Comic Cons and you know, live sales on Facebook and so on. But as far as actual like distribution of new product, everything we do go through Kickstarter first. So yeah.
Straight to consumer. That's awesome.
Yeah,
as well.
Straight to consumer. Yeah.
I mean, because you handle all your distribution with Kickstarter. Like we do all of our stuff. Versus if someone orders from Diamond, we have to send it to Diamond and then they send it out. You know what I mean? So it's much safer for us as creators, in my opinion, to handle it ourselves anyway. You know what I mean?
And Diamond is never. Okay, I'm just going to say Diamond doesn't give a shit. Diamond is never transparent about anything. They don't want us contacting retail stores to even to help promote anything. Like they won't give us information like, okay, who bought my books so I can help them sell books. We don't give you that information. Like they don't help at all. They just put the book out. It's available. Okay, this guy bought 20 copies. We're sending him 20 copies. That's it. That's the end of it. And so anything that you want to do from a marketing standpoint, you have to be busting your ass to go figure out who the hell is buying your books so you can help them sell more books.
So that means you got to reach out to like the owners, if you know who they are, and be like, hey, who's buying my book from your shop? And then they got to go and look in their catalog. And
right. Versus Kickstarter, where we can put a tier in for a store, and then they come in and they get a discounted rate because they're a retail store, and we sell it directly to them. And we can be like, hey, do you want an exclusive for your book? And which artist would you like to do an exclusive for your store with? And so on and so forth. It's a much easier process for us. And that's why Diamond is not a fan of Kickstarter.
Right.
So I hope you're taking notes here, Nick, because these guys are very good at what they do. Their books are awesome. Their artwork is well, not their artwork, but their artwork in the books are amazing. They work with fantastic artists. So if you guys ever want to, you know, chat or whatever, definitely send each other friend requests. And I love networking my guests together here. Tom has actually been on a few times and networked with other people, and you became friends with Leonard. You and Leonard's back and forth are hilarious.
Yeah, I'm always up for helping people if they're curious. I mean, I don't have the salt on me just yet that some of the other guys have got, but I've been around a little bit. I can definitely help out in certain areas.
Yeah. So what about you guys, Nick, James? You have anything going on that you guys want to promote and talk about?
Well, first off, I definitely want to congratulate both Dustin and Tom for what they do. You know, Tom, congrats on reaching 12 years of Ursa Minor. That is amazing. And, you know, Dustin, congrats on everything you do with Ethereal Comics. You know, it's very, very impressive stuff, man. I mean, from a man who can only draw stick figures, to me, anything is just, you know, I'm blown away by the talent that's on when it comes to both of you guys. When it comes to me, if country music is your speed, as I mentioned, I do host Whiskey and Cigarettes, the country music radio show where we play today's country, traditional country, and everything else in between. And about that, you can visit our website. That's whiskeyandcigarettesshow.com. Podcast-wise, if superhero movies are your speed, I do host Happiness and Darkness, the superhero movie podcast. We discuss all superhero movies under the sun. And if Best Picture winners are your speed, I can be found with Zan Sprouse and Rachel Friend. We're reviewing all the Best Picture winners in chronological order on Gold Standard, the Oscars podcast. And last but certainly not least, if superhero TV shows are your thing, myself and Charles Skaggs can be found on the Fandom Zone, where we're currently discussing Moon Knight. And if Titans or Doom Patrol are your thing, Charles and I discussed the latest seasons of Titans and Doom Patrol on Titan Talk, the Titans podcast, where we also got to talk to some of the folks who worked on the show. So it was definitely great times indeed. And what about you, James?
Well, I was going to say, how do I step from the shadow that you wonderful people have cast over me this evening? And certainly to try and follow what Nick has just launched is going to be an impossibility. But if you want to listen to basically anything with, well, it's me and Gemma, my co-host. Gemma is the creator of Talking Codswallop. I'm just the guy who hits his mark and does as he's told, which keeps me alive and safe with her. But if you want to find us, obviously we've got some very good interviews that come in, but generally most times in the week we're just shooting the SH1T, as they say, and we are basically discussing anything crazy and fun that's happened in the week, in the life, in the media, whatever. But you can find us. We're Talking Codswallop Pod on all good social media. We're on Podbean, Goods Pods, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much all other apps. But you can find us, obviously, if you just go on Twitter or Facebook, you can pretty much find us. And you can find me. But on the reach out front, I would love to have you all on as guests at some point, all of you, because everything I've heard this evening has been interesting. I always love coming on this, on Reels and Heels. But yeah, if we can all do a bit of reaching out and chatting, that'd be wonderful, and we can pull something together. I would love to do that.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear Tom and Dustin's trip to Italy someday.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I guess since there's really nothing else to chat about, I mean, Tom is busy with his Kickstarter and Dustin's busy working on his. I guess it's time to end the show, all right?
Ring the bell.
Oh,
Don't ask.
they're giving the rats a bath.
What are you doing? Look,
But yeah, I want to thank all my guests for coming on. I love.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for having us on.
And Suncoast Comic Con for those down in Florida. Dustin
That's right.
and I will
Suncoast Comic Con next weekend, April 23rd and 24th at the Bradenton Convention Center. Dustin's going to be there. Tom, was it Mike DeBelfo is going to be there as well?
Belfo's going to be there. Marissa's going to be there. April Reyna's going to be there.
Greg Horn.
Greg Horn. Yeah, Greg's always there because he's in that area. But yeah, he's definitely going to be there for sure. There's a huge cast of folks that are going to be there, and you're going to see a lot of local folks there. So swing by, hang out with us. Like I said, Carrie throws a great show if you guys have never been there before. Mad fun, guys. Mad.
Yeah, this is my first return to Florida in like a decade. So
I remember you mentioned that. Yeah.
I've been trying to get him to be like at MegaCon, but they just were like, no, he's going to buy a booth. I was like, dude, do you not know who
MegaCon's a mess.
Yeah, don't. Like I said, I used to do it all the time, and I won't do it again. You know what I mean? There's a lot to be said, and there's other shows, that you won't catch us at, like C2E2 and stuff. You know,
well, again, like we talked about, this is a smaller Comic Con, and I'm a comic book guy, so that's where I need to be. And MegaCon is not that, so I am just thrilled to get down there and do this.
Help facilitate Tom coming back to Florida.
I'm excited to see Tom in Florida. I mean, like, you get guys like when we had a shop. I remember meeting DeBalfo was fun for me because I met him through Raven Gregory, and I didn't even know that it was him when I met him because I was a fan. But when we brought him to Florida, it was the first time he'd lived in Florida in ages, so it was a lot of fun. So bringing these guys back that haven't been in a long time is always a lot of fun for them and their fans because they haven't seen them. They haven't got to see them. So now you're bringing Tom in, and he's like, I got all these badass new books. You haven't seen me in a decade. So now I got all this cool stuff with it. Did you see these? You know what I mean? So it's really cool. I think get there early. Tom's line is probably going to be pretty long.
I'm hoping for huge stacks to sign because I haven't signed a Florida book in a long time.
Well, me and you have been talking for years, Tom, about people here in Florida. You're like, I get messages from people in Florida, like, when are you going to come to Florida? When are you going to come to Florida? Well, now you're coming to Florida.
That's right. And like I said, you can't go to a better show in Florida right now. So
yeah,
I think that everybody's going to have a good time. For those of you that haven't been, it's a pleasant surprise. It really is. It's a good time.
Yeah, and I should say that we're going to have a table there for Reels and Heels, but also for my wife, Nicole, Comics in the Classroom, which is something very important to her, using comics as an educational tool in the classroom. There's a few teachers, across the world that believe in this project. So she's going to be there with the panel. Javier Lugo will be our guest that is there. He helped create a pretty awesome VIP like print for the Suncoast VIPs. So
yeah, we've had teachers over the years tell us that they use our Legend of Oz book in their classes. So yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
cool.
great for the teachers to start thinking outside of the box instead of, the book that they've been using for years and years and years. So
For sure. Oh,
But,
man. Tom's got a print, too. Tom's got a print with Marissa for that show, right?
Yeah.
It's a book. It's a book.
Oh, it's a cover. Dope.
Mhm.
yeah, it's the Friday the 13th like homage.
Really good looking cover, man. Like, that's a
Yeah,
good
it's
one.
40 years of Friday the 13th Part 3, where the mask first shows up this year. So we're paying a little tribute.
Right on. We've got 2 prints coming. They're Ellie's 30 Ellie's editions for that show. One by April Reyna and one by Jen Leonard. So they should be a lot of fun. I don't know how I'm going to censor all my bunnies when I get there, but I'm going to make the attempt. So it should be a good time.
And we're gonna try to go live, depending how the Wi-Fi is at the arena there. But
it's great. Like, no BS. It's great. Like,
it's
we
great.
went
Well,
live
then,
last year, yeah.
maybe
Yes.
we'll have Tom come by and say hi, and Dustin say hi, and
For sure.
stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah, next week we'll be live at Suncoast Comic Con. I know you're the kids.
This
over
is
there.
about the time when the youngins become restless, and we are no longer able to successfully have a quote unquote professional podcast.
Until next week, it's time to ring the bell.
Come on. Great.
Take care, everyone.